A few years ago, I was doing housework and grumbling about all the things. I was angry that I felt like I cleaned so much more than my husband. I felt like my friends hadn't been reaching out to me, and according to social media, it seemed like everyone had a better life than I did. Now, I'm sure you've never gotten into your head and gone into a negative spiral that way, but that's exactly what happened to me that day. Every bit of it was a lie, but that morning, I believed all of them. And amid my inner complaining, I heard this question in my heart. Mallory, what would you think about? What would you even talk about if you actually let me heal you? Can you even handle the joy that I'm offering? Honestly, I didn't have an answer. What would I think? What would I talk about if I let go and moved on from all of my wounds and grievances? In so many ways, these wounds and grievances that I had held onto so tightly had become integrated into my identity in such a way that I didn't even know who I would be without them. I would have to become a different person, someone new. And that, my friends, is scary. Over the last 2 lessons of this study, we have explored the way that friendship wounds us, and then some ways and perspectives of how to heal and move on from those wounds. Only one question remains. It's, do you want to be made well? Jesus asked this very question in John 5:3-6 to a man who had been ill for 38 years. Here is what happened in the scene. It says, "Now in Jerusalem by the sheep gate there is a pool. In Hebrew it is called Bethesda, which has 5 porticos. In these lay many invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had been there a long time, he said to him, 'Do you want to be made well?' The sick man answered him, 'Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. And while I am making my way, someone else steps down ahead of me.' Jesus said to him, 'Stand up, take your mat, and walk.' At once the man was made well, and he took up his mat and began to walk." Preacher and author Christine Caine points out something very important about this exchange between the man and Jesus. Notice that when Jesus asks the man if he wants to be healed, that the man does not say yes. You would think that after 38 years of lying on a mat, the man would have figuratively jumped at the chance to be healed with a resounding, "Yes, Jesus, heal me." But he didn't. Instead, he gave Jesus an excuse. "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up, and when I try, someone always steps ahead of me." I have to wonder if this man was somewhat afraid of being healed. What would he have to do if he had the freedom that he had not had for 38 years? Who would he be if he could no longer sit in his own self-pity? Is it not the same for us? Part of us so desperately wants to be free, but the other part of us is so comfortable being uncomfortable. Our wounds have wedged themselves into our hearts, and we honestly don't know who we'd be if they were taken away. So what would we do without them? What would you do without them? St. Paul gives us the answer in Galatians 5:1. It says, "For freedom Christ has set us free. Stand fast, therefore, and do not submit again to the yoke of slavery." When we decide to say yes to Jesus' question, "Do you want to be made well?" we are saying yes to freedom. Christ made us to be free from the chains of sin. It is not his desire that these chains become part of us, but that we cast them off with abandon. Is it still scary? Well, it might be, because honestly, freedom is scary. I was recently listening to a commentator who spoke about the men and women who chose to come to America to make a life for themselves. They literally left the first world, European society, to travel to almost certain death for the sake of freedom. Freedom is risky, so it helps to know what we are being set free for. Have you ever considered that the enemy uses sin to make a mockery of who God created you to be? See, when we decide to walk away from sin, God sets us free to become who he has created us to be. The space that was once taken up by wounds and sin is now available for him to inhabit. Colossians 3 verse 3 says, "For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you will also appear with him in glory." When Christ becomes our life, we become hidden in him. We become free to literally shine his glory more and more through our lives. We are freer to become more like our Creator, who is freedom, who is love, who is creativity. He makes us into who he meant for us to be. Doesn't that sound better than bondage? Doesn't that sound like it's worth the risk to take the steps and allow ourselves to be made well? And how would this kind of healing affect our friendships? When we choose to heal from our wounds, we start to be able to see past them. And this helps us to forgive those who have hurt us in the past. But it also grounds us in reality, and the Lord may want to reveal to us where we fell short in the relationship. He doesn't do this to condemn us, but rather to bless us with sober minds who will depend on him more in the future and increasingly become a blessing to those around us. Moving past our wounds also fosters compassion in our hearts towards others. Compassion guards us against placing too many expectations on others. In the end, a woman who is genuinely healed from her past wounds can enter into her current friendships with confidence in who she is and the wisdom to navigate her future friendships with generosity and prudence. Ladies, this type of healing, this deep heart healing that sets us free, may take more than a 1-week Bible study lesson. Maybe this week has brought up some issues for you that you were unable to move past. This might require you to seek out confession or counseling. Please don't skip this. It is worth it. Jesus Christ wants to heal you. He wants you to become a woman who is a fierce fighter against the enemy and a great gift in her friendships. Next week, we will dive into how we become women who are capable of incredible friendships. So let Jesus make you well and sanctify you into a woman who exudes his glory to those around you.